Well, there was three of us. It was me, our Don, and this lad called John Woods. And we set off at 6 o'clock in the morning. The forecast was bad, and we had the nets inshore. And if the weather becomes rough, you lose your nets. So we had to go out. Our plan was to go out, pick the net up, and come straight back in.
Was it a cobber?
No, it was an old converted lifeboat. But it had an old Lister engine in it, and it would chuk chuk chuk. It was a bit like the African Queen. Chuk 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 chuk. And our Dawn was Popeye. And off we went, and the forecast was like it was going to be terrible this afternoon. It was the 25th of February 1983. And off we went. So off around the piers, chuk chuk chuk. It was bad weather.
Over the bar,
around, and anyway, we managed to pick the net up, pull it all on board. And normally we used to clean it and then put the net back out again.
Aye.
But with the weather forecast being bad, we pulled it in on the deck. Anyway, we turned round to come back home, and the engine just give up when he was trying to mend it. So we're stuck. Anyway, this was 11 o'clock in the morning, and we've been out since 6. So 11 o'clock, and it was dark. It would have been February, dark and freezing, and the icy wind, and there was like a big rolling fog. And we thought, oh dear me, we better send a flare off.
Because the engine had stopped.
Well, the engine just stopped. It was that cold. I would have just dived overboard and swam in if it had been in the summer. I don't know. But it was like bitter cold. So we'll set a flare off. So flare lit up the sky, but the weather was dark and dingy, and people on shore obviously they didn't see it.
How far out were you, do you think?
We were about a couple of miles at first, and then the fog came down, and then we just didn't know where we were. So we were just drifting in the middle, and the sea was getting rough. So I said, right, chuck the anchor over. And because we didn't know whether you're going to get lashed up on the rocks or out to sea. But if you put the anchor over, you know where you are. And Lynn, she was going to finish work at 4 o'clock and come along mine, and I was supposed to be back in at dinner time, and we were going to go out on the night. So when she came down, when she came to mine, we weren't in, so she came down and the boat wasn't there. So they informed the lifeboat at about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, because we were, as I say, stranded. Anchor was over, and eventually we let off like 6 flares altogether, and the weather was that bad, nobody seen them. And anyway, we just freezing cold, and the sea was getting rougher, and as it lifted up, the anchor was taut on the front of the boat, and it was lifting up, and the anchor was holding it down. It was lifting up, and
so water was coming in.
All waves was lashing out of the side, and we had big buckets. Anyway, the anchor rope pulled the front of the boat off with the nameplate on, freedom. So the anchor, as it lifted up, and the front of the boat came off, and loads of barrels rolled out into the sea, and the sea rushed in. I was, oh my God, buckets in. And as we lifted up and down, the sea came in, so in, and this just went on for hours, and I got colder and freezing. And as I say, we'd sent the 6 flares up, and we thought, we're bound to get rescued, you know. And I knew Lynn would be coming to mine, and after she finished work. So for hours and hours and hours, up at about 4 o'clock, we were still bailing out. Lynn had realised I wasn't home, and I was late, so she come down to where the mooring was, and the boat wasn't back. And the other fella who was with me and our Dawn on the boat, this John Wood, he suffered terrible from seasickness. So he was, anyway, just as we were bailing the boat out, he was just laying there, and as we were getting chucked about, he was rolling from side to side, and chuck us overboard, please, chuck us over, I kind of stuff. So I wrapped him in a tarpaulin and tied him up with rope, so he wasn't rolling about, so he was pretty safe, but in a slip knot in case we sank.
Aye.
Anyway, he was quite happy. Well, he wasn't. He was like, and anyway, this went on and on, and literally just didn't have a clue where we were, and this went on, and as I say, Lynn phoned the lifeboat up, and then the lifeboat came down to the mooring, and then Lynn had to fill all these forms in. I thought if you got stranded and the lifeboat was launched, but no, she had to fill all the forms in. She's just getting her first car, and they wanted all the details of her car and filling all it. Anyway, the lifeboat didn't leave till about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The lifeboat was launched, but we'd been out since 6 o'clock.
Aye.
So 4 o'clock it comes out, but it was that bad. It went out, searched the area where.
Was it still foggy?
Very. Oh, it was just. Imagine the worst February night. It was icy cold. It was black, just pitch black, and just fog. You couldn't see an inch in front of you, and the waves were just lashing over, and we just skin come off me finger, with the salt water, and but you're just in survival mode. And the lifeboat went out. And when the gunwale had been pulled off and the barrels and that had come out and they found the nameplate, so they got back onto land. Lynn and his relatives, our Dons, Christine and them were there, and I think Christine's dad was there, your uncle.
Uncle George, yes.
Uncle George. And then they phoned back, and there was a big police van. Lynn was sitting in the back of a police van, and they were like, oh, they're lost, and blah, blah, blah. And then they come back, we found wreckage. We found the nameplate. It's no survivors. We're on our way back. This was 10 o'clock at night. So we've been out from 6 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock at night in freezing, icy cold, soaking wet through. And the lifeboat sort of turned round and says, right, we're coming back. Well, we drifted quite a bit before we put the anchor over.
Right.
So we weren't in where we were supposed to be, because Lynn, I told her where we were going. And I was just thinking, we're going to die, if we don't. But I was just survival mode.
Right.
And plus I'm very, very strong when it comes to surviving. And I just kept going. It's John Woods. Never seen him since, mind. I've never seen him since. Anyway, all of a sudden, I've heard stories that when you're going to die, you see the light, and you go to head towards.
Yes, I've heard of that. Yeah.
Head towards the light. Anyway, and I was totally exhausted, and all of a sudden I'd seen this big orb of light coming through the mist, and the fog was thick. It was pitch black. And I seen this big light coming, and I'm not religious, so I looked and I thought, and I felt actually calm for some reason, and as I got nearer and nearer, I thought, well, at least we're going to die in peace.
Yeah.
Well, totally confusion, and I got nearer and nearer, and then I realised it was a big, massive lifeboat. It was a searchlight, and they accidentally bumped into us. Are you the Freedom? He says, aye. And they shook the rope, tied it on the front, and it was, but with the front being smashed off, as they were pulling. We were diving under so we were shouting to the lifeboat crew. None of them came on board to check, so they're just dragging us along, and there's loads of people on the pier, and the lifeboat men were shouting, give us 2 pints, and they were dashing back to get into the pub at Seaburn, and we were saying, well, you're sinking us, man. So anyway, they dragged us in and then put us at the fish quay and left us, and that was it. But it was but it made us stronger, you know what I mean? It's from 6 o'clock in the morning until 10 o'clock at night. How many hours is that?
That's about 15, 16 hours.
Aye, in the February cold in England, horrible. But made us strong stuff, and we got back. Anyway, I said, and I went and worked with another lad. As a lobster fisherman with pots.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, I worked with him for 6 years. Me and Jimmy. But that's another story.